Welcome to Maths with Jade. In this video tutorial, we'll be doing an introduction to algebra. Algebra generally doesn't fill the average person with joy and can bring about a lot of negative feelings. But it doesn't need to be this way. By understanding the basics, we can change a lot of those negative feelings to much more relaxed ones. Algebra is when letters and symbols are used to represent a number or quantity. The most commonly used words in algebra are variable, term, expression, constant, and equation. A variable is an unknown number represented by a letter or symbol. So if we have something like this, the variables are x and y. A term is a single number or variable, or number and variables multiplied and divided together. So in this case, the 2x is a term, the 3y is a term, and so is the -7. An expression is a group of terms. So in this case, it would be the whole thing. A constant is a value that doesn't change, i.e. a number. So in this case, the constant is the -7. An equation is when we have two expressions that are equal. So let's take that expression we had before and make it equal to something. And voila, we have an equation. You might want to pause the video here to take all of that in. Now let's start with how I write algebra. And to do this, we'll look at a bag of money, because I think we can all relate to that. And I'm going to say that x is equal to the amount of money in the bag. Now imagine I have two bags, that's a multiplication. Well, I want to do 2 times x, but we never write a times sign in algebra. We would just write 2x, the 2 coming first always. So now let's look at addition. Let's say I have my bag of money and also 2 more coins. Well, how much do I have? X plus 2. And it's similar for subtraction. If I have my bag of money and I remove 2 coins, then I have x minus 2. My grandparents share everything, so their bag of money, they want to divide by 2. But we do not use a divide sign in algebra. We write it as a fraction instead, so it will be x over 2. Let's look at some harder ones. Say I want to take c, multiply it by 3, subtract 10, and then divide by 4. Well, I'd start with my c, I'd times it by 3, I'd minus 10, and then I will put it all over 4. Another example, I'm going to take p, divide it by 2, add 7, and then multiply by 11. Well, I have my p, I need to write it over 2, add 7, and then to times the whole thing by 11, I need to use brackets and put the 11 in front of that bracket. Now it's your turn. Have a go at these, and it is really important not to read ahead and confuse yourself. Take it step by step. Pause the video now. Here are your solutions. Please check them very, very carefully. Now let's work the other way round. Here are some expressions and we need to figure out what does it mean. Well, the first one, I take a and I divide it by 10. The second one, I take x, then multiply it by 3 and then add 1. My third one, I take w, I divide it by 3 and then I subtract 4. And finally, the last one, it looks quite complicated, but I start with a, I divide it by 4, then I add 2, and then multiply by 7. So if you're wondering, is the order important? I have a very simple answer for you, and that is yes. Yes, it is very important. So please bear that in mind and write down what the following expressions mean. Pause the video now. Now it's time for you to check your answers. Make sure that not only did you get the operations correct, but you got them in the correct order. Now finally, we're going to take a look at simplifying expressions. So imagine I have a square with a side x. What is the perimeter? Well, if one side is x, then they're all x because it's a square. And now we can just plus the sides together. And how many x's is that all together? Well, it's 4x. This process is called collecting like terms. Now a slightly harder example, we have a square and the side is 2y minus 5. Well, what's the perimeter? We can label all the sides the same and then just plus them all together. But this gives us a very long and annoying expression, so we're going to collect the like terms. First, let's look at the y's and count how many we have. Well, we have 8. 2y plus 2y plus 2y plus 2y is 8y. And now we can look at our constants. And we have minus 5, minus 5, minus 5, minus 5, which is minus 20. So that's all well and good, but there is a better way to do it. And that's using a multiplication, because we know all the sides are the same, so we can just do 4 multiplied by 2y minus 5. And then we use a process which we call expanding the brackets. And this process involves multiplying what's outside the bracket with everything that's inside the bracket. So let's first multiply together the 4 and the 2y, and we get 4 times 2y, which is 8y. And now let's do 4 times minus 5, which is minus 20. Wow, wasn't that much less of a headache? Let's mix things up a little bit and work out an area problem. So we have a rectangle, and we know to find the area of a rectangle, we need to do base times height. Well, that's going to be 3f multiplied by 5f plus 2. You might be tempted to write it like this with a times sign, but algebra does not like times signs. It much prefers brackets. And now we can expand the bracket. First, we multiply the 3f with 5f. Well, 3 times 5 is 15, and f times f is f squared. So 3f times 5f is 15f squared. And then we do the 3f times plus 2, and that gives us plus 6f. Now we have a compound shape, and we want to find the perimeter and the area. To do this, we need to find the missing sides. So that 5x plus that missing side needs to make a total of 8x. So that missing side must be 3x. And we can do the same thing with the horizontal sides. That's 6, and the missing side has to make 11. So the missing side has to be 5. And now for the perimeter, we just plus all the sides together. So 6 plus 8x plus 11 plus 3x plus 5 plus 5x. You then want to simplify this answer by collecting like terms. So I'm going to plus together all my ordinary numbers. 6 plus 11 plus 5 gives me 22. And then I can collect my x's. 8x plus 3x plus 5x gives me 16x. I would also be correct if I wrote 16x plus 22. Those two terms can go in any order. To find the area, we need to split our shape up into 2 rectangles. And then find the area of each rectangle. Well, the first rectangle is 5x times 6, which we immediately simplify to 30x because we don't like that times symbol. And then our second shape is 3x times 11, which is 33x. Now we can plus them together. 30x plus 33x is simply 63x. And that is our total area. There are some things to be careful of. People often want to simplify 2x plus 3y or something similar, but this does not simplify because we don't know the value of x and we don't know the value of y, so we would just leave the expression like that. Here's another expression that does not simplify. X squared is different from x, we cannot simplify them. But if we have something like xy plus yx, a lot of people think, well, that doesn't simplify, but it does simplify because yx is the same as xy. So in fact, I have 2xy. And finally, you need to be careful of your negatives and positives. These can be a nightmare. So I'm going to show you 3 types of examples. If I have 10y times by 2, well, I get 20y because a positive multiplied with a positive number gives a positive number. But if one of those numbers is negative, for example, 10y times negative 2, we get negative 20y because a positive multiplied with a negative makes a negative. But if I have 2 negative numbers, for example, negative 10y times negative 2, they multiply together to make a positive. So I get 20y. Here's lots of practice for you. So question 1, you need to simplify the expressions. Question 2, you need to expand the brackets and simplify where possible. And question 3 and 4 are shape problems. Pause the video now. So here's your solutions for question 1 and 2. Check your answers very carefully. So question number 3, we want to find an expression for the perimeter. Well, that's a simple case of doing 4 multiplied by 12 minus x. Expand those brackets and you get 48 minus 4x. If we know the area of the square is 100, then a side has got to equal 10 because 10 times 10 makes 100.
So if 12 minus x equals 10, then x has got to be 2. To find an expression for the area for question 4, split the shape up into 2 rectangles, plus those rectangles together, and you get an expression like this. Expand and simplify, and you should end up with 21x minus 12. For B, you need to compare the sides and find the missing side. So if we look at that longest side, we have 3, and we also have 3x minus 3. Well, that will give me 3x. It's quite tricky to find that missing horizontal side, because we know that that horizontal side that we're missing plus x plus 2 needs to give me 6. So I can do 6 minus x minus 2, and I'm left with 4 minus x. Now we can just collect together the x terms, collect together the ordinary numbers, and you should end up with the expression 6x plus 12. Thank you for watching. This has been an introduction to algebra and maths with Jade. If you found this video useful, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on content, share this video, and all comments are welcome below.